Okay, let's get into this, how this homeless to permanent housing initiative works. So once there is established a region of Peapod centers, just throwing a number out there, probably 9, there would be a centralized Peapod center. That first centralized Peapod center is what would be my third Peapod center, because there's the headquarters, wherever that is, if it's in this area. The second one would be Eagle Butte, South Dakota. Again, that's pending if for some reason I should go international. I could go to the Netherlands. I could go to Switzerland. Those are options. I could go to India, China, anywhere in the world. I would literally go. If I get the fundraising and I stay in this location, the headquarters will go in the town that I live in. The second one is going to be in Butte. The third one is going to be in Gary, Indiana. There could be a couple more in the Gary, Indiana. And the fifth one would open up somewhere near the rail that China is building in Africa, strategically placed, and the users on the good ship would then kind of vote, decide where they think the best location would be to put that first one. So then we would go back and start building around the Gary, Indiana, and when we get about that 9 in Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, anywhere in that 9. When there's enough, there will be a full-scale operation. And basically, in theory, there's a 5-story Peapod center, full operation, and then it doubles. And that's sort of a all-inclusive, non-denominational, all-denominational church that I am creating. If you want to know more about that, you can find the Father Oliver Context Preacher is the name of that YouTube channel. If you go to the About section, then you'll understand what the name of the church is. And that's sort of the birth of that. That church manages what I'm about to explain that happens when there's a region of Peapod Center. It's essentially like a big church. That church, when it manages the homeless to permanent housing initiative, while I'm building the platform and making money, I'm going to be investing in property. Now there's pause a minute here, pin that. I have spent a lot of years in religion and am technically a advanced priest. In my early 20s and preteen years, I suppose even, the thought of leading into, and those around me thought I would be a pastor, youth pastor at some point in the development of my Christian path, as it were. A lot of things have come in and changed dynamics and influenced in many different directions, both away and to, and just there's a whole full spectrum of things that I could discuss in that. Nonetheless, circling back, that's where this comes out of. Where I interact and all that is remained to be seen, but nonetheless, that's the intent. We'll get into how that plays into as I explain in this video. It's probably going to take me a little bit. Well, the good ship is building wealth, investments in land, farmland, places that we can build a commune. I don't get too struck by the term, but essentially that's what it is. Investing in land where I can take a farm that we've bought for a few $1 million, and they may have a country farm house, and we build an addition that can accommodate 20 bedrooms and a master kitchen, sort of like an Amish community. Maybe the farm's going to have a bunch of tiny homes on it that we've built. Maybe we've gotten one of them 40-foot container homes that we see a lot of YouTubers doing. Maybe there's a bunch of those. Maybe there's a combination of different things happening on these farms. So we've avoided some building permit regulations, and maybe there's some people living in an RV. There's going to be a lot of combinations of how these farms identify. Now, there's an algorithm that will be built into where they have to contribute a minimum in order to stay. It's well reasonable. They never have to leave. So as I'm building these farms, the church is in existence. If you don't know, churches get a lot of land and property donated to them because a lot of people don't have kids, or their kids have turned into dirty, rotten scoundrels, and they want to donate their money to a better cause. That happens by the millions. You may not know, but that is in fact a reality. So I'm going to give a place for a farm family to maybe donate their farm. However I gather those assets, however I gather them. There's going to be people that say, hey, I want to buy this farm because I'm a billionaire and I can afford to do that. So this full-scale Peapod Center operation that I call about $100 million operation, there's then maybe 10, maybe there's 20 farms with 50 people on it. Each farm begins to build an identity. Now, I have a list of businesses that are going to end up coming out of this. I'm not going to show everything, that's not necessary. But let me just tell you a couple of things. So just your standard processing plant for animals, eggs, dairy, cheeses. There could be sheep, wool, fabric, things that are made and created and exchanged within other communes. So there's, again, 10 in an area. Fast forward 10 years, maybe there's 20 of these regions. Maybe there's 100 of them in the world exchanging goods with other communes. There's not any money exchange. This is all nonprofit. This is all funded by the Good Ship. There's opportunity to sell the product. There's opportunities. These people that are there, that come here, were formerly homeless. They've processed through, and we've determined through an evaluation and intake process where they fit into the schematics. Maybe they're just down on their luck and need a place to get back on their feet and work themselves out of the system. Then that minimum amount of hours that you have to work on the farm or commune or however it's set up, you would have to do more to gain a salary. While you're there, you're also, again, you're working for and under the umbrella of the Good Ship. You'll have your own platform, your own channel. If you have an artistic talent or something, we're going to help you create that. You're going to have extra attention because you're part of the system and people may be inquisitive, and you're going to get more chances of being helped. Now, this can be resourceful in getting you out of the commune if you so choose. If you become a millionaire, maybe you want to just build in those assets and have your own commune and take in your own people and manage your own part in the system. That's up to you. If we can work things out. It would be silly of me to think that a homeless person who has been homeless for a minimum of a year, some maybe for 10, because they exist by the thousands, suddenly has community and safety. And when you aren't having to concentrate all of your energy on surviving, then you can grow. This is something I've talked about. It's a highlight point to stress here. So when a person grows, they can contribute. They can tap into their artistic skills differently. These people who have been through this have been through trauma. Trauma oftentimes translates into material to create art. Another point of reflection that I have talked about for decades. Many of the greatest works of art, literature, film, sculpture, you name it, have been created out of trauma. This is an untapped resource. Giving them a place to grow is a resource. Then the whole way that everything works together, the Peapod Centers, the elite team, the 20-foot soldiers, all of this comes into play too, but I want to keep this simple. Again, I could talk for 8 hours, maybe for a couple of days even, about everything. Because this is 30 years plus of me trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize and 3 years in nothing but design, full life, purpose-driven life, doing this. This is it. There's nothing else to me at this point in my life devoted to this. So how the church comes in. So there's a lot of homeless people who have major skills. I don't know what you know about the homeless situation. But I was homeless for when all my classmates were finishing their senior year in high school. In Iowa, I was homeless on the streets in San Francisco. And for a year, I didn't associate with anybody who wasn't homeless, a drug dealer, or a prostitute. Those were the only people that I knew. Probably a few mob and murderers and stuff like that in the mix as well, but not the point. I met a lot of people in that time and vowed to myself that I was going to be doing this. There's a way of looking at people and seeing people that is just very unique about me, and how to tell stories. And I have an understanding of homelessness, what is there, because I've seen it. I know it in a different way. So when these farm locations build their identities, there may be one that's in the suburbs or in the city, and there's a group of people living in sort of like an apartment building that I've purchased at some point or was donated. They may be a craft art place that sells and creates craft for maybe the Peapod Center studio, and they're making stage clothes. Maybe we mass produce certain stage clothes that we sell on the social media site. They're making money, I'm making money, everybody's making money. And we're open to the public. You could buy stuff. Again, there's a whole commerce page that's different in design like no other. So all these Peapod Centers have the option, these people who are on there that have a product, the way that the catalog is set up, and just the uniqueness of it. I'm not going to discuss that. Again, another video, too long to talk, or I'd be here for 2 days. There's unique possibilities. Don't exist. There's an underlying thing in here that I will create more millionaires than any other platform or system in the world. Have that rise in the middle class. I can and will do bringing the middle class back. This will do that. I know what I have created. I have been working this for a long time. I have a very wide range of knowledge and understanding. That's where sort of that weird genius level kind of gets in. I'm not going to get into it. Doesn't really matter. But I do have pretty big base of knowledge. What else we got? One of the reasons why I bring up the art center of commune part, because there's going to be people who are into art. There's going to be people that are into rap music. There's going to be people that are into wood carving. There's going to be people that are into chickens. There's going to be people that are into making or sewing or jewelry making. All these things, all these options, all these businesses that will come out of what I'm doing. So one of the things the main headquarters Peapod Center will have is a book printing press that can also print pamphlets and flyers and little handout ring binders and stuff like that of varying things, because I need that for purposes of the Peapod Center. But there's this part in there where we're working with the public, trying to facilitate them getting a story or message or whatever out. Maybe they're needing help in writing a song and getting it produced. We have a sound studio. We have a team of people who will help you with that. Maybe you're trying to produce a video. You don't have the software. You don't know where to start. You don't have understanding. You don't have props or any of that. We're going to have that offer. That option is for you and the public. We will help you do that. Helping you becomes the content for either the 20-foot soldiers or the elite team, depending on what your story is and what elevation it is and how it gets put out into the public. Because the elite team are the Peapod Center weekly broadcasts that the users can subscribe to. Peapod Centers, the 4,000 locations across the world. Again, one city, in every city over 200,000 people income's just over 4,000. I think I've been saying 2,000 for a while and was running through my dad, and it's actually 4,000. So you can subscribe to any of those 4,000 Peapod Center locations, and then they get fed like a TikTok scroll. And that can be changed by how you set your settings. So maybe you're someone who's with depression and you need help. You can set your setting, and you're just going to get a TikTok scroll of how to deal with depression more than other people do. Maybe you want to find how different cultures dealt with depression, and that's when you dial into a different Peapod region that has a whole nother catalog scroll. We're talking 10 years into the future, and you'll be able to do that with every culture throughout the whole entire world. Again, there's a preset, an aspect, a point of access that doesn't exist in the world right now. Anyway, the way that I'm doing it, again, been working on this, plugging in hundreds of pieces now for 3 years nonstop on strictly the social media site and the Peapod Centers and how they work together. I'm trying to think what else I got for you. The building communities, because I'm not taking a homeless. Let's back to the pointing out the art commune. That can become a retreat for other commune people. Maybe they just need a vacation to get away from people because they need to get away, or because the commune says you need to get away from vacation. Maybe it is somebody who has just joined the 20-foot soldiers and they need a 30-day detox period. There may be a commune location that they go to sort of detox. An art studio location would be a perfect detox for somebody. It may be a farm with horses. There's going to be options out there because these 20-foot soldiers have been selected either by other 20-foot soldiers or the elite team or me, or somehow somebody has put in a request, hey, I know about this homeless person, they have a unique talent, and I think that you might take an interest, and then we take them. And those 20-foot soldiers, they rotate like on an 18-month, 2-year process, and then they're out. By the time that period is over, every one of those should be a millionaire, and then they're off and do their own thing. The elite team are retention. I'm going to work hard to keep them retained. They're your local celebrity, like any news station, they're your local celebrities. Essentially, that's what they become. Highly respected. It's just a lot of things going on. So there's a lot of things happening to facilitate homeless to permanent housing. Some homeless people may just need to process through the disability paperwork. They just need a year to rest till they get paperwork through. Maybe it's a couple years, whatever it is. When they get approved for disability, then they can go off on their own. It's just a lot of different things that people just need. And when you're defeated, it seems impossible to do even the basic things. That's what people don't seem to understand. When you're struggling to survive, you can't grow. Been there, done that, understand that. Devoted my whole entire existence to teaching this. I'm filled with originality. That's just what it is. I've recognized and understood this since I was 8. I knew that I seen the world differently. I knew that. I don't know how to explain how I knew. I just did. It's been a very interesting trip. I'm going to go ahead and end it up here. Just want to give you a little bit more basics on how that kind of works. I haven't explained it exactly, but I think there's enough. Before I sign off, I do want to talk about one other section, one other part here, and that's how the church kind of works in on this. So there's a region of Peapod Centers, and the full-scale one should be within an hour of that location. The Peapod Center locations, for the most part, should all have transportation buses, like a tour bus that you would see, a school bus, things like that. There's reasons why that's going to go on, but one of the functions for those buses, which also plays into when we get homeless people, we're hoping that some of those homeless people can get back their CDL license, and then that they can drive those transportation buses, again, becoming part of the commune. And that's why I say commune, because that's essentially what they're doing. Each farm builds a community. So there's a bus driver. The church manages the schedules of buses, cars to get supplies to those farms. Everything's structured, monitored, make sure everybody's safe and insulated. Because these were former homeless people that may not exactly want to be just out there. They just need time to heal. and create a life for themselves, one that they haven't had some for a very long time. So these buses drive to the church on Sunday, non-denominational, all-inclusive church. It's not forced, but it's highly encouraged, and you have to explain why you won't go, because even if you're a yogi or of any faith, there is a place for you in how this church works. Go to the YouTube channel, Father Oliver, Context Preacher. Go to the About section and read more. There will be end of harvest season festivals where all the people at Settings will get together, have a big shindig, have music, big bonfire, maybe a little bit of homemade liquor, barbecue, some beef at minute. This is good. There will be Christmas parties, different holiday parties, spring party, to bring these people together. And then, of course, every Sunday, they all meet at the church, which is a public church. The public who are involved in the church, who are part of the structure of the church, managing the church, it's all community. There's a lot more to what I'm saying that surrounds this, but just to keep it from the homeless to permanent housing, how we got them. When the donations start to get big, and they will, because when billionaires know what I can do to clean up the streets in Hollywood and all over America and all over the world, and I have the plan to not just put them out of sight, but actually put them back into creative members of society, giving back and selling a product and literally becoming millionaires when they had thought the world had given up.